Good morning, dear students. In continuation to our previous lecture of collective bargaining, today we'll be discussing significance and recent trends of collective bargaining. So, collective bargaining has come up to occupy a significant place in modern industrial societies for various reasons. The benefits of it has conferred upon workers who have been working overwhelmingly. So, the institution has also benefited the employers and managements in numerous ways. So, it has also wider implications for the economy and society as a whole. So, some of the notable, significance or importance of collective bargaining are: first is improvement in condition of workers, second, check on autocracy in industry, third, promotion of lasting industrial peace, and conducive to managerial efficiency. So, collective bargaining has considerably helped in securing a wide variety of economic benefits for the workers in form of higher wages, maybe liberal allowances, fringe benefits, economic security, shorter hours of work, better terms and conditions of employment, and physical working conditions. So, experiences of many industrially advanced countries like United States, Great Britain, France, and other European countries show that through collective bargaining, the workers have been able to get such economic benefits which could not have been possible through legislation, education, or other measures. So, in many countries, collective bargaining has helped in getting economic benefits and facilities over and above the standards set by the labor laws or industrial awards. So, it has helped in the improvement of the condition of workers. Then, second is check on autocracy in industry. Well, during early years of industrialization, the employers unilaterally determined the terms and conditions of employment of their workers, and hiring and firing of workmen was considered, their prerogative. Even in more recent times, the employers have been freely determining the terms and conditions of employment in many unorganized sectors of economy without any hindrance from trade unions and government. So the only influencing factor being in the market forces. So collective bargaining has put an effective check on employers' autocracy in regard to the laying down of terms and conditions of employment. Initially, employers' freedom of action was curtailed only a few areas such as wages, hours of work, and working conditions. But during the course of time, a number of subjects came under the purview of collective bargaining, and these subject matters, they are exploring and expanding day by day. So, collective bargaining has spurred a vast area of prerogatives traditionally which were enjoyed by the employers. So it is through collective bargaining, it has provided a check, or you can say a control on the employer, and which has finally led to the promotion of industrial democracy. Then promotion of lasting industrial peace. Contribution of collective bargaining as a method of settling disputes, industrial dispute, which we have already, which we already know that how it helps in settling down the industrial disputes in our previous lecture. So it has also been seen that a lasting solution to the problems in an industry can be possibly only when parties have a say in reaching decisions, when both the parties are both the parties are reaching to a agreeable consensus and agreeable agreement. So collective bargaining provides this opportunity. The employers and workers are in a better position to understand and appreciate the problems and difficulties of each other. So collective bargaining enables the parties to settle their differences or disputes based on the facts and realities of the situation. So, a solution imposed from outside cannot provide a lasting solution to the problems. So, basically, collective agreement contains a set of rules for compliance by both the parties. So long as collective agreements remain in operation, the veil of uncertainty, although about rights, they may not exist. Uh, there could be threat of strike or lockout in the event of failure of negotiation if it continues, and the parties may occasionally take recourse of these industrial actions, such as a situation is not of much significance in comparison to the existence of industrial harmony, which is being established on the basis of collective bargaining. So many collective agreements also provide for grievance procedure for addressing the grievances which results from non-compliance of the clause of agreement. So basically, these collective bargaining, it aims at promotion of industrial peace, may it be settling of disputes, conflicts, grievances, or whatsoever. So they are very effective tools in hands of both management as well as worker. Then conducive to managerial efficiency. It has contributed towards improving managerial efficiency and solution of specific problem facing the management. Well, there could be difficult situation when the management has to face a hostile hostile trade union opposed to managerial measures. So, under such conditions or situations, collective bargaining it provides an opportunity to the management to take the trade union in confidence and seek its cooperation in tackling the problem. There have been instances when the management and trade unions have jointly solved specific problems facing an industrial undertaking or company. So collective bargaining basically which takes place in a free and open atmosphere, it leads to revaluation of deficiencies in managerial policies and practices. So this helps the management to modify and improve its working. And moreover, in order to counteract the union pressures, management may try to sharpen its tools and discover very effective ways to deal with the union and employees. So, in collective bargaining, it is not always the trade union which is the winner. In many cases, the outcome of bargaining may be in favor of management. And further operation of collective agreement for a stipulated period and provision of grievance procedure or other measures to solve the problem of interpretation of agreements, it provides an opportunity to the management to devote more time and attention to other issues. So these are the you can say general say what do you call importance or relevance of collective bargaining for in an industry. And if we just go that how it is relevant to how it is important to employees, so following are the points. uh, to develop a sense of self-respect and responsibility among the employees, to increase the strength of workers, their bargaining capacity as the group increases, to increase the morale and productivity of employees, to restrict management's freedom for arbitrary action against the employees, unilateral actions by the management are discouraged, and to strengthen the trade union. We already discussed this. Then how it is leading having importance to employers, as we already discussed, that it is not giving only, it is not only that employees are benefited or workers are benefited out of it, but sometimes it enhances management practices as well. So the worker feel motivated as they can talk to the employers on various matters and bargain for higher benefits. So with the result, productivity increases. It is easier for management to resolve issues at the bargaining table rather than taking up complaints of employees individuals. When we have bigger organization, huge number of workers, we have large number of workers who are working in an organization. So it is not possible to listen to individual problems. So collective bargaining is important in resolving issues at a bigger organization. Then collective bargaining promotes a sense of job security among the employees and thereby tends to reduce cost of labor turnover to the management employees as well as society at large. Collective bargaining opens up the channels of communication between the top and bottom levels of organization, which may be difficult otherwise. As we discussed in our first lecture of collective bargaining, that it is basically bridging up the gap of communication, wherein climate of trust and open communication is encouraged through collective bargaining. And how it benefits to the society, it attains industrial peace in the country. It establishes a harmonious industrial climate which supports the pace of nation's effort towards economic and social development. Since the obstacles to such developments can be largely eliminated or reduced, because when there is industrial peace, when there are no strikes and lockouts, so it will automatically remove those obstacles which come in the way of uh, achieving our economic and social development objectives of a country. To extend the democratic principle from the political to industrial field, it builds up a system of industrial jurisprudence by introducing civil rights in industry and ensure that management is conducted by rules rather than by arbitrary decisions. So it obviously helps in building up that system wherein it transfers the right to the say from wherein you are both the parties are sitting across the bench, and they are acting in a democratic way wherein both the parties are listening to each other and reaching to a common agreement. So, and to check the exploitation of workers by the management, obviously as we said that it is a controlling tool as well. It does not uh, it restricts management to take actions at its own. To distribute equitably the benefits derived from industry among all the participants, including employees, unions, management, customers, and suppliers, and the public. So these are, in general, the relevance and significance of collective bargaining to employees, employer, and society. Now there are certain recent trends in collective bargaining, which these days or from past few years have been in place in the industry. So first is decentralized and individualized bargaining. So collective bargaining in India has remained largely decentralized. That is company or unit level bargaining rather than industry level bargaining. But in some sectors, mostly public sector industries, the industry level bargaining was dominant. However, privatization of public sector transformed the industry level bargaining to company level bargaining. That means now shift has been from industry to company. That is why it is being decentralized to the individual bargaining. And on the other hand, due to drastic change in formalization of workforce and downsizing in industries, the strength and power of the trade union is heavily reduced. Trade unions mainly represent the interest of formal workers. So, increasing number of informal workers in the companies get soon transformed the structure of the workforce in such a way that the formal workers became a minority. And moreover, in some sectors like garment, there is almost complete informalization of workforce with only a tiny section of formal workers. It happened in almost all the sectors. So, due to various reasons, informal workers are not able to form their own trade unions, and on the other hand, they are not represented by the trade unions for the formal of the formal workers. So these situations, they result in spurt of individualized bargaining. That means government and these are legal system, they realize the relevance that there is a huge, you can say, a huge sect of unorganized sector, or you can say ununionized, rather than saying unorganized, the appropriate word is non-unionized workers. So to give them maximum benefit out of it, so now the decentralization for individualized bargaining is taking place. So high level of informalization of workforce combined with the individualized bargaining actually is changing the character of trade unions. And in relevant sectors, the industrial regions, it is converted many trade unions into legal consultants. So this is the change which is happening in the market, that from centralized, from altogether industry to company level, and then from company to unit level, and then from unit to non-unionized workers. So this is how it has been decentralized. Then second is declining wage share. Declining strength of collective bargaining is also reflected in a sharply increasing share of profit and drastically declining wage share, which has resulted in depressing purchasing power. And long back, a survey was conducted wherein approximately 73 million out of 173 million wage earners throughout India did not receive minimum wages, which is very unfortunate. About 30 to 40% of these low-paid wage earners belong to poor families. So declining wage share, that means there is more, and there is much more to do about these type of workers through collective bargaining, which can be taken up to the, maybe to the government, to the employers through collective bargaining. Then third important is there is a new wave of labor movement for unionization. As we said that there are workers who are non-unionized. So a new wave of workers struggle for unionization is emerging from below, by and large maybe from independent, from the central trade unions. This is mainly emerging in the formal sector. The workers are realizing by their own experiences that they cannot change their fate without organizing themselves in a trade union, because now they have realized that since they are non unionized and they are not getting benefit what actually they deserve. So, in many cases, the workers do not even get the legal benefits like minimum wages, premium rate of overtime, or holiday or casual leaves. So, once the union is formed, at least minimum benefits guaranteed by law are easily available to all workers, because it puts some pressure to the on management and um, acts as a controlling mechanism. And they cannot convert their status into formal workers only by organizing themselves in trade union. So, it is in this background that even when the workers are facing unimaginable repression from their attempts to form a union, which they are fighting for it, and more workers in new factories are also choosing the same. That means they are realizing that they should form unions rather than become non-unionized. Uh, there were cases almost there in say 10 years back when Hyundai workers they were struggling for recognition of union, Nokia workers were struggling for wage hike and against victimization. Even MRF workers they struggled for recognition of union. We have lot many example. For example, Bristol workers struggle for recognition of unions, and then we have Grisanio workers struggle for unionization. So there were lot many say organizations, companies at plant level, wherein non-unionized workers they were fighting for getting recognition of their unions. And it is also interesting to note that in almost all the above cases, both formal and informal workers, the examples which I stated, that both formal and informal workers came together in these struggles. So it explains that the conditions have already entered in a new phase when the numbers of informal workers in factories are either equal or to more than formal workers, and generally with same competence level. So therefore the enmity of formal workers with informal workers has gone now, because now both of them are fighting for a common cause. So now rather than trying to make out informal workers, the formals are uniting with informals and demanding regularization of their jobs so that they can get the same status and benefits as formal workers. And unionizing all the formal and informal workers under the same union is actually one major step in this direction. So it will help both workers as well as trade unions. Workers will be getting unionized, they will be getting recognition as a union, and unions will be getting more members. Their membership will increase, and which will automatically increase their subscription. So their funds would be increasing. So it would be a win-win situation for both. It is becoming win-win situation for both the parties. So there are also new initiatives to organize informal sector workers, particularly the agriculture workers. And after the implementation of National Rural Employee Government Act, uh, Employment Guarantee Act, the new possibilities emerged to unionize the rural workers around the Narega. And we have Manrega as well. And many local level unions of rural workers and also regional say platforms of rural workers have started emerging. However, the system of collective bargaining in this sector is very different. It is mostly on general issues like proper implementation of the Act itself, ensuring minimum wages, employment guarantees, and workplace facilities. Since the minimum wages and facilities are fixed by law, the struggle is actually for implementation of, say, Employment Guarantee Act, which is under National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So there are also initiatives to organize other informal sector workers like forest workers, fish workers, and other self-employed categories. But it will take time to get these workers recognize a part to get them recognition as a part of unionized, say, unionized workers, or to get them recognized in for a particular union. Then we have certain hurdles which come into the way of collective bargaining, especially in India. So, first is voluntariness in recognition of unions. Well, the recognition of trade unions for the purpose of bargaining has to be continued to be voluntary. So there is no statutory compulsion for the employers. When we were discussing Trade Union Act, and therein we discussed that there should not be any compulsion on the employees to become the members of the trade unions. So there is no statutory compulsion. So they are only under moral obligation to do so under the Code of Discipline. Although the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 has made a refusal to regain collectively by the employer with a recognized union, and for a recognized union with the employer, an unfair labor practice, the provision does not uh, have much significance in the absence of statutory obligation to recognize representative unions for the purpose of bargaining. So, recognition of trade unions compulsory and clear-cut definitions of the roles of recognized and minority unions, it will provide a sound basis for the growth of collective bargaining in the country. And basically, in this regard, National Commission on Labor recommended that it would be desirable to make recognition compulsory under a central law in all undertakings employing 100 or more workers, or where the capital invested is above a stipulated size. So basically, volunteering in our recognition of unions is being supported by the National Commission on Labor as well. So, a trade union seeking recognition as a bargaining agent from an individual employer should have a membership of at least 30% of workers in an establishment, and minimum membership should be 25% if recognition is sought of an industry in a local area. Then, second is ineffective procedure for determination of representative union. Even where the employers are willing to recognize the representative unions, the determination of representative character of unions often becomes a very difficult task. And for this purpose, the procedure of verification of membership has been widely used. And as we said, as we discussed, the secret ballot, which is followed in US and other European countries, although in India it is not being very much encouraged by the trade unions. So there is no law on the subject in this country. So the problem has become more acute on account of fierce rivalries and factionalism, which is engulfing a large number of trade unions in the country. So it is desirable to address the task to impart the first neighbor, to impartial authorities like National Labor Relations Board and Industrial Relation Commission, which is recommended by First National Commission on Labor. And it is also desirable to adopt the procedure of secret ballot rather than that of verification of membership figures, where we have multiplicity of trade unions which is existing in the organization. And then third one is outside leadership in trade unions. Outside leadership in trade union movement has also been a contributing factor. Uh, the rivalry and factionalism of the political parties are also reflected in the trade unions. As we said, the one of the functions is political functions, wherein political parties are supporting trade unions. So, what happens? The rivalry and factionalism of the political parties gets reflected in the trade unions. And the result is that when a representative union is having an allegiance to one political party is recognized, the other unions affiliated to other political parties will try to dislodge it and clamor for their own recognition. So the situation becomes worse when a representative union recognized as a bargaining agent is opposed to a political party in power. So experience has also shown that number of outside leaders do not have any interest in the affairs of the union or in the aspirations of the workers whom they represent in bargaining. Thus, there is a need to build a strong internal leadership, which I think there is a labor bill which is still pending in the Parliament of India, which says that there should be stoppage of external outside leadership in the trade union so as to strengthen internal leadership and in internal you can say trust among the employees, among the members of the trade union. And then fourth one is provision of elaborate education machineries. Well, a network of education machineries which is established under the Industrial Dispute Act 1947. It states that maybe in some state acts in the form of labor courts, tribunals, national tribunals, and industrial courts, they have been in operation for more than a half century so as to take up or resolve the industrial disputes. And under these laws, the government is empowered to refer industrial disputes to these authorities, whether the parties like it or not. So the education awards are binding on the parties, and resort to strike or lockout is prohibited during the pendency of disputes before these authorities and the period of operation of the awards. Well, a large number of disputes are referred to these authorities every year, and during their pendency, it is very difficult for the parties to enter into negotiations because it takes time to settle out the disputes. So the working of so the working of education machineries has revealed many deficiencies from various aspects. So it was on the account of these deficiencies that VV Giri Commission, which was vehemently opposed to use and favored collective bargaining as most appropriate method of settling industrial disputes. Then fifth one is restriction on strikes and lockouts. Well, comprehensive, when we talk about collective bargaining or right to strike and lockout, which is considered essential and as a last weapon in the hands of workers and employers, respectively. So, collective bargaining without this right has a little significance. In India, basically, when we talk about considerable restrictions have been imposed on the exercise of this right under the Industrial Dispute Act 1947. State industrial relations laws and also occasionally enforced essential services, which is ESMA, Essential Services Maintenance Act. So, experience of the working of the industrial relations in the country has shown that majority of the strikes in the country have taken place in utter defense of the statutory restrictions. Uh, in one of the decisions, the Supreme Court observed that trade unions which have guaranteed right for collective bargaining have no right to go on strike. That means if a union has been given right, a guaranteed right for collective bargaining, then they cannot go for strike. And that government employees have no fundamental legal or moral right to go on strike. So this is the one of the judgments that has been passed by the Supreme Court, so as to restrict strikes and lockouts. Talking about comprehensive coverage of labor laws, a number of protective social security and welfare laws have been in operation in the country, and these laws cover wide range of subjects of direct interest of industrial workers, such as hours of works, physical and working condition, wages, social security benefits, protection of service, then welfare amenities and holidays, and much many more. So many of these are subjects of collective bargaining in number of countries. On many occasions, the trade union in India have pressurized the government to enact pro-labor laws, but only a few trade unions have succeeded in improving upon the minimum standards which have been laid down under labor laws. Uh, then we have inadequate unionization. um, when we talk about unionization in India, only a small percentage of workers have been organized on a regular basis. Uh, it is if we go by the figures, it is less than 15% of India who are organized under trade unions, as compared to 45% in United States, and surprisingly against 50% in Britain. And side by side average size of trade union, even the members of the when we talk about the membership of or the members who belong to a particular trade union, that too is less. So the average size of Indian trade union is very small when compared to the average size of unions in United States, Great Britain, France, and many other European countries. And organization of workers at the industry or regional level are confined only to a few industries. So these features are not congenial for the growth of collective bargaining in the country. If trade unions want to go for collective bargaining, then it should have the maximum support of the workers. When we say worker, that means members. But if there is small size of the workers in the trade union, so it is not giving them the power to bargain. It is not putting up enough of pressure on the management to bargain. And there could be other factors also which inhibit the growth of collective bargaining in India. That have been inadequacy of education among workers, maybe unwillingness on part of many employers to part with their freedom and to sit along with their workers on bargaining table. Uh, Other factor could be poverty of the workers and masses and inadequate capacity of industry to pay. But having said that, despite these hurdles, collective bargaining has increasingly acquired a prominent place in industrial relations of the country, and policy of privatization and liberalization is giving boost from past so many years. So this was all about significance of collective bargaining in industry, especially in India, and recent trends, what we discussed, and hurdles which is hindering in the which is coming into the way of collective bargaining as the say dispute settlement, or you can say a conflict or a grievance settlement procedure for a worker. So hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.